Now, to predict करने से we will have an upper hand and we will have a mind set up as to what the possible answer could be. That way, you are ready to find it in the text. Seventh is interfering attitude, feeling, mood or purpose. So, interfering attitude, feeling, mood or purpose. So obviously it's also quite similar to the predicting type. Eighth one is identifying keywords. Now you'll have to identify the keywords marked in your question to the keywords marked in the passage. There may be many times that you'll have to go back from the passage to the question. Then ninth is deducting meaning from the text, that you'll have to deduct the meaning from the text and from the context, and you have to identify the answer. And finally it is understanding graphs and charts. So if a question comes where you have a graph or chart, then you understand the gist of it by looking at the graph and chart. Now first we will start with the paraphrase. Paraphrase practice. So in paraphrase practice, sometimes in the paragraph, the answers. So paraphrase is where answers in your paragraph would be written but in a paraphrase manner. So we need to locate the paraphrase information in the text, and there are three ways where we can do. There are three ways by which we can do this. First one is skimming. So this is a text given to you, and you quickly read through it very quickly, looking at the important points. Second is scanning. So here you look for the particular word in the para and ignore the rest of the thing. And there are also something known as distractors. So looking away from distractors. So distractor is sometimes when you don't understand paraphrasing, the answer could be very easy, but still we get distracted. Like any irrelevant or additional info added, nearby answer is a distractor, and there will be many in everything. Whether you talk about reading or whether you talk about listening or in reading, there will be many distractors. And whenever like you have an answer, suppose my answer is 1972 or my answer is accommodate. Before this answer comes, relating to the answer, relating to information that might be similar to the question, there'd be a lot of irrelevant or additional information that might be added. For example, I remember one question I was solving, and this asked that in which year did the refurbishment occurs. Refurbishment. So did the refurbishment occur? Now it was a listening module, but you can understand the types of distractor which would be quite similar in both. So they said that the thought of doing a refurnishing, paraphrase, they paraphrase the word refurnishing to refurbishment. So the thought, like the first time anyone thought of refurnishing the apartment was in 1960. Okay, they made a plan to refurnish it in 1965, and they finally executed it in 1972. These are, for example, the years are. Now they said in which year did they did the refurbishment occur. Now planning thought was there in 1960, planning was in 1965, but the actual execution was in 1972. So the answer is 1972. So they gave the word refurbishment first of all in the text as refurnish, which was paraphrase, and they try to distract us from giving 3 other years. So anyone who is in a RE or does not have proper concentration or would miss out on the actual answer, that is 1972. So kitni trick lagi yahan pe? First, we might have skimmed the paragraph, or we might have scanned the paragraph. Second, we look for the keywords, when we look for the keywords, we identified the paraphrased word was written as this. Then what we did was that we, first of all, the answer was, we predicted the answer would be in year. So we did prediction, and then we deducted the meaning from the context. We actually understood it. What was the context given here with proper concentration. So many techniques could be used for you to solve a question. Now, scanning की practice कैसे की जाए? If you want scanning practice, so it's easier to find words from list 1. Earlier easiest words that can be found. अगर आपको स्कैन करना है, हमने स्कैन क्या बोला? स्कैन का मतलब क्या है कि हम एक पर्टिकुलर, वी आर लुकिंग फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर वर्ड इन द टेक्स्ट, particular word in the text. Now, the easiest way to find out the words are words which start from, this is very important, capital letters. So any proper noun, you'll have easy to find it out, like USA, France, a particular name like Madhuri. Anything which starts with a capital letter, you'll have it easy to scan. Then proper nouns, so capital letters, this proper nouns and capital letters are the same point basically. So these are the examples for proper nouns, and capital letters could be abbreviations, like for example IELTS. So there is a paragraph given, okay, IELTS ऐसे लिखा है, फिर एक लाइन लिखी है, फिर लिखा है USA, फिर एक लाइन लिखी है, then France is written. So for you to find out such words in capital letter or a proper noun should be easier, right? And the third one is numbers. So numbers like 10th of July, 10 July, or 1972, or 80, 183 kilometers. So numbers like this are easy to identify in scanning. So therefore it is better to pick keywords. ठीक है, ऐसे keywords को pick करना, better to pick keywords like this when you're trying to find the answers from reading passage, and it helps you to get the location, like it is written in passage number 2 or it is written in passage number 3. So it is easier to find out the location. So first read the question. It helps you in two ways. So you must always read the question. First of all, you will understand what is like before reading the passage, read the question first, as it will give you the knowledge about the passage, that if these set of particular questions are asked, then it is something related to this particular topic. So it gives you knowledge about the passage, and it gives you a head start, right? So you need you underline the keywords and you know exactly what to look in the passage. Right? So after you have read the question and you have underlined the keywords, if time permits, then you have to try and guess the answers. Okay, if the time permits, try and guess the answer, and this actually will help you to eliminate distractors and find the proper answer from the text. Okay. So if I'm not predicting the answer that it would be a country, then I'll have to read through all the passages, and then at the end I'll be like, oh, this was not actually the right answer. So try and predict the answer to eliminate distractors. So very important, the most important thing throughout this lecture, throughout these lecture series, there is a plan of action on how you'll have to tackle reading questions. What I'm about to speak, watch and rewatch, download, like, share, write it down, take screenshots, whatever you can, but give your full and maximum concentration and revise it and use it again and again as a practice on every question, because this will be used instead of panicking, you will be using this technique and it will help you out 100%. It has helped me out in a very nice manner. The first thing when you get a reading question is, first is you underline on read carefully the instructions. Okay, underline, read carefully the instructions. I'm writing it in very short, so you'll have to read the instructions. Second thing is, read the question carefully. Read the question carefully. Underline the keywords in the question. Underline the keywords in the question. Fourth is to guess the answer, so predict the answer. Try and predict the answer. Fifth is scan the passage, scanning the passage to find the keywords in the passage. So firstly, you have to read and understand very carefully the passage, the instructions. You have to read the questions carefully. Whatever questions you are given, read it very carefully. Underline the keywords in the question. Try and predict the answer and try and scan that keywords in the passage so that you can find out the correct answer. So if a word is already written in the question, do not repeat it. Write only the answer. Okay, as I have mentioned it earlier also, that if your answer is, for example, the question was which year did the refurbishment occurred? So instead of writing the refurbishment occurred in the year 1972, you just have to write the year, you just have to write the year 1972. You don't have to go on and write the year 1970. The answer should be just the number, this. You don't have to write year word before or after. So if you do that, you'll write extra words, or you'll write different from what is given in the text. Even though your question may be paraphrased, but when you copy that answer to your question, like when you're writing the answer to your question, you don't need to paraphrase it. You need to write exactly word to word what is written in the passage. Now, that will be our next tip, that you cannot change any word or answer from the passage. Do not change any word or answer from the text. You cannot change it. And sentence completion or short answer, they all come in order. So there are only few question types, which I'll highlight when I'll discuss them. But question types such as sentence completion, question types such as short answers, they all come in order. Now what does this mean is that if you have found there are four paragraphs in a passage. Okay, you got your first answer from the second paragraph, then your second answer will be from either third or fourth one. That is, it goes in a chronological order, that you would not find your second answer from passage number 1 then. Okay, you would find it in order only. So that is a tip, that for the second answer, you just have to ignore the first para. You've got the answer from this, read on to the next paragraphs. So I think this is all for the tips and tricks of general reading. Reading in general. And yeah. So if I give it in an overview, you don't expect to understand every word. A wide vocabulary is key to getting a good score in IELTS test, but worrying about all words you understand in reading exam is one of the worst things you can do. If you don't understand a word in the reading text, you can look at the words and sentences around it for clues, the contextual meaning, or you can move on and forget about it. You don't have to understand the meaning of every word. Secondly, practice your reading skills, not your IELTS skills. It is important to familiarize yourself with the IELTS reading test, IELTS reading tips, and gain an understanding of the various questions. However, students who just practice IELTS exam are missing out on a good opportunity to improve their general reading skills. IELTS reading text can be a little boring, and you are more likely to read regularly if you read about something you're interested in. Reading for pleasure a little day every day will not improve your English skills, but also not only improve your English skills, but also improve your vocabulary. There are thousands of blogs, newspaper, magazines, and like ebooks to choose from. Now, thirdly, read the questions or instructions very carefully. So many easy marks are lost by good IELTS candidates because they fail to read the instruction properly. This is especially true in reading and listening test because they give very specific instruction. For example, write not more than one number, two words, a number and a word. If you don't follow these instructions exactly, you'll get the answer wrong. So if I say write two words and or a number, so writing one word and a number, one word and a number, or writing two words, all would be, or two words and a number, all would be correct. Even if a number is written as a word, it counts as a number. Example 32 is counted as 32. So this is something good. What they say is that if you have written the word 32, the trick is, the instruction is that you have to write two words and or a number. तो दो वर्ड्स लिख सकते हो साथ में एक नंबर, और या तो आप टू वर्ड्स अकेले लिख सकते हो या फिर एक नंबर अकेले लिख सकते हो. Okay, so if you're writing 32, still it is a number only, na? It is a number only in essence. So 32 is counted as 32 only. But I'd rather tell you to write like whatever exactly is written in the answer. Don't try and be smart to write 32 like in short like this. Exactly what is written in the passage, you'll have to cut, copy and paste exactly that. So 32 cars is one word and a number. So if you wrote 32 cars, if the answer in the passage is 32 cars were stolen, 32 written like this would be correct because they count 32 as 32 only. If you don't do this as stated in the instruction, you'll lose a point. If the answer asks two words only and the answer is red and yellow, you should write red and red yellow, not red and yellow. So two words is your word limit, no more than two words. Answer is given in the text is red and yellow. Be smart, cut this and out and write red, actually like this, red comma yellow. Write in caps. Have this practice of writing in caps. Red and yellow. You can put a comma, it's not wrong. But if you wrote and in between, it will be three words and then it will be wrong. Finally, if there is a word, if one word only means just one word, we should therefore be very careful with articles like a or and for that matter. For example, the text might say an earthquake, but if it asks for one word, you just have to simply write earthquake. Alright. An earthquake is two words and therefore it would be wrong. So don't panic is my fourth general tip, that some of the questions will be easy and some will be extremely difficult. The key is not to panic when trying to answer a difficult one. A strategy is to spend large amount on a question and fail to spend enough time on the rest of the question. If the answers do not present itself, move on to the next. Don't waste your time. You can always come back to the difficult questions later, and also answering the questions will often help you. Time and nerves need to be controlled in order to do well in reading tests. So whenever you panic in any situation, not just in reading tests, even if you're real life, you panic, you can stumble on and do bad things. Like someone has told me, I've heard it somewhere, that if you are getting late, just be calm and relaxed, because if you try to be hasty, if you try to be panicky, then you will take even more time because things can go wrong at any step. Now it's really a vocabulary test. Fifth is, in many ways, the reading test is more of a vocabulary test than a reading test. They'll use synonyms and paraphrase to test how wide your vocabulary is. To prepare for this, I would advise my students to do three things: read, note and review. As mentioned in tip number 2, reading is the best way to improve your vocabulary. Memorizing the list of words is not as effective as seeing words in context. When you see a new word you don't understand and you try to get the meaning from the context, only when you have done that, you should check the meaning. Next, collate these words into new words in a vocabulary journal and record not only the meaning but also the synonyms and antonyms, collocation and examples. Finally, there is no point in recording all this new vocabulary if you don't review it, so review them regularly and master them. Now, pacing is crucial. If you spend too much time on one question, you will have less time on other questions. However, if you try to do the test too quickly, you will miss information, may get confused. Ignore anything you already know about the topic. The higher the level, the more is the problem. The more this affects the people. Please remember that you are being tested on your understanding of the text only. So you don't have to bring in your own knowledge of the topic, and you should not influence your answer based on that. Be careful when transferring your answer. Everything, like in the test, you'll be asked to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. A common mistake is to spend too much time on reading and answering question and leaving very little time to transfer the answer. It is only natural that silly mistakes are made when people are under pressure. Using all capitals for your answer is always a safe bet. And leave no blanks. Even if you don't know the answer, guess and make sure your answer every question as there is no negative marking. So try and not leave any answer. Okay. So sometimes you can decide how a writer or speaker is feeling about something from a way that they speak or write rather than from what they're openly saying or the words they use. So that way you can understand.